the CEO of Korea.com.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues in the noble profession. It gives me great pleasure to stand before you this afternoon. And just to continue from where Mr. Balade, well done Mr. Balade, that was a well-delivered presentation. Just to continue from where he stopped and to encourage that when you audit, you don't wait until you do the external audit. It's always advisable to have internal audit that takes care of your accounting procedures, practices, and reports before the external auditors come in. The external auditors come in hard, but your internal audit takes care of those little issues before the external audit comes in. Today we're going to be in the next 30 minutes, and I don't know how it can be possible for us to talk in 30 minutes about effective tips for effective school administration. I don't think it's possible. I had slides, and I don't know why it's not showing either. I think Tomper here or our moderator should understand that, especially as adult learners, we need visuals in addition to the things we are saying, because some of us are visual learners. Abi? Not be so. Some of us are visual learners, and quite a number of the things that I'm going to be saying are probably not even included in the slides, because the slides were presented or were prepared for a much longer duration. But I'll just go through it. We'll be able to answer, thank you very much, a lot of your questions as it comes up. Now, the task of school administration, is there anybody here that is a Superman? Nobody. But I'm sure you'll agree with me that the task of administering a school sometimes is a Herculean one. You feel like you need God knows how many arms, how many eyes, how many feet, and all of that to be able to do what you need in the school. Isn't that? It's like a superhuman task that is before us. And when we're talking about school administration here, I'm referring to the administration of the school by the principal, by the head of school, together with her team. Because it takes teamwork. And so if you're a principal and you don't work in sync with your vice principal or your deputy head of school and whatever nomenclature you have making up your management, then you've got to go back now and begin to include them in the task of the school management. Now, how many of us here are school owners? And how many of us here are managing schools for school owners? I'm sure you'll agree with me that the scenario is different. If you're a school owner managing your school, the scenario is different. A lot of the things that Mr. Balade said will probably apply to you because you're going to be able to implement easily. But if you are a hired administrator, a hired principal, head of school, may I see your hand? How easy is it? It's not easy. I agree with you. It's not easy when you're an administrator and you're reporting to the proprietress or proprietor or to the owner, or to a board even. To a board. Because it means you need to go through them for everything you have to do, and sometimes it is a big task. But whatever the case may be, you have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to do what? To manage the school and to manage it well. To manage the school and to manage it competitively. To manage the school and to deliver, irrespective of the challenges that you may have as an administrator. And sometimes the teachers don't make it easier for you, do they? Sometimes you have teachers who have expectations. Sometimes you have teachers who are looking at you as if, where does this one come from? Me, I've been here for 20 years. This one just came 10 years ago or 2 years ago. Me, I've been teaching for the past 30 years. This one, she was still in secondary school when I started being a headmistress and things like that. And so you have teachers themselves who set expectations for you and sometimes make things difficult for you. But don't forget that sometimes in the past, you also were once what? A teacher. In that same boat, setting expectations for your school administrator. But whatever the case may be, all of these factors, whether internal, whether external, are associated with the success of a school administrator. What is the job of a school administrator really? It covers so many things. You have the parents on one side, you have the admin functions, you have the teachers to manage, you have the students to manage, You have infrastructure, you have the image of the school to project, you have the finances, because the financial function also rests on you as the administrator. Whether or not funds are released to you, you are in charge of managing that aspect of the school. If it's a boarding school, it's even harder still. How many of us here are in boarding schools? Not many. A boarding school is harder still because, as I always tell people, when you're in a boarding school, it's a 24-hour school. 24 hours, 7 days a week, no rest, no break. You must be on the spot. It's very important. So all of these activities rest on your table as the school administrator. So what is your role really? The role is evolving. The job of an administrator or a head of school or a principal, as like 5 years ago, is different from what we have now. Isn't that? Times are changing and we have to move with times. We can't afford to sit back and say, this is how I know how to do it. This is what I'm used to. You have to move with the times. And if you don't move with the ship, what will happen? It will leave you behind. And you heard Mr. Balade say, there are so many schools coming up. When he was saying Corona doesn't struggle with finances, I thank God, but that's not true. Because you have to continue to carve your niche. You have to continue. Nobody has a monopoly of anything anymore. You heard of the school that used to administer, that used to register children with pregnancy. This at a time, Corona was like that as well. You have people coming with pregnancies to register their children because by the time the child is eligible for admission, the waiting list is 1 mile long. But all of that is changing and there are so many factors. And the factors are not about how bad or how good your school is. Even economic factors matter because it's totally about pests. But we also have not just the financial vision, but even the environment. Increasingly, people turn to go for issues of security and safety. You can't afford for your children to go to school too far away from you. And then your pocket also matters. Yes, I desire to help my child in that big name school, but my finances will determine, isn't that? A lot of schools are coming up and are encroaching on the schools that had autonomy before, or the particular catchment area and the students. So many things are affecting enrollment in our schools and the growth of our schools, and it is the function of the administrator to ensure that every time the school is relevant to the times, the school is relevant to the needs of the people in the society, and the school is delivering the quality that is relevant to this time and age. So the evolving role of the administrators, one of it has to do with the key administration, whether you like it or not. The paperwork, records and everything rests on the desk of the administrator. You can choose to do digital and you can choose to do physical. How many people are still keeping files and carrying files around? Even our ministries are no longer carrying files around. We are in what age now? We are in the digital age. And you've been told to see the people out there, the software providers, you need to go digital. Gone are the days when the headmistress cannot type. I will be looking at computer and the money your computer is there. You won't put it on, it's gathering dust. Your laptop is only there for what? As part of your furniture. That has to change. As an administrator, it is your responsibility to develop events in your school, to plan. Let me put it that way, not just to develop, but to plan activities in your school. And your plans, you need to compartmentalize your plans. You've got to determine what plans are long-term. First of all, the immediate, short-term, and then the long-term. You've got to have a vision for your school. And it's not just having a vision, you've got to codify your vision. You've got to put your vision down, you've got to articulate it in achievable milestones. And you've got to carry everybody along. You are not a Superman, remember that. Whatever it is, remember what I started with. You are not a Superman. And there's no way you can carry the shoulder of administering the school on your shoulders all alone. So you've got to learn to carry people along. So developing your vision, long-term, immediate, short-term, and long-term. You've got to keep up with evolving trends. When he was talking about chalk, I laughed and I told Mrs. Alibaluna, I said, chalks, how many people use chalk anymore? People don't use chalks anymore. So you've got to keep up with evolving trends. What is happening in the educational sector? We had those little children challenge us, and that is the truth. The future is upon us now. The future is not tomorrow. It is already here. They're telling us about jobs, about preparing them for jobs that by the time they are ready for the job market will no longer exist. So that should tell us that we should go back to the drawing board and look at what it is that we are offering in our curriculum. We've been told that very shortly, automation is going to take over jobs. Artificial intelligence, computers, robots, it's happening now. In advanced countries, jobs that were hitherto done by people like us is being taken over by what? It's being taken over by machines. What are we teaching our children? So we're talking about things like entrepreneurial skills. Are we incorporating all of those in our curriculum? So we need to think about that, and that is one of the jobs of the administrator. You've got to facilitate the adoption of new technologies. What is happening? What is, the recent things happening in the world of technology? You've got to take care of the scope of things that fall out within and outside your teachers. The well-being of your teachers, the well-being of the children. Lagos State is giving us a lot of things to do on issues of children protection. Issues of security is rife now. You've got to look at security as an administrator. So many issues, and none of these has to do with the teaching and learning. Most importantly, you've got to look at your staff. Equip those working with you. Let them take care of the everyday curriculum, everyday monitoring, everyday lesson observation, while you as the administrator can sit down and plan, can sit down and vision, can sit down and strategize. Because that is one of the roles as an administrator as well. You've got to have a strategy plan. You've got to have a strategy document. What's your vision for the school? What's your strategy? How do you see the school in a year, in 2 years? How do you see the school in 3 years? What's your plan to position the school within your neighborhood, within your locality, or within the educational sector? Those are the things that as an education, an administrator, you've got to learn to begin to do. And those are the evolving roles of the administrator. As I said earlier, that the exact function of an administrator has to do, differs from school to school. What is expected from you in your school will be different from what is expected in your school. So there is that need, first of all, to even understand what is expected of you as an administrator. Because even if you are the owner of the school, you are accountable to the people that you have employed. Or you don't think you are? A lot of us are under that belief that because you are the owner of the school, you can do and undo. Anything you like, you do. After all, you are the owner of the school. But hey, what's your plan? Is your plan to run the school according to what you want? Or is your plan to run the school or to develop a school or to build a school that will outlive you? What are you thinking of? So what's your plan? So your role as an administrator will differ, and that's why I will not encourage. It's good to always benchmark. It's good to always do your SWOT analysis. It's good. Benchmark is good. What's that school doing? It's good. But not because you want to tailor everything you are doing to what others are doing. You want to, look around and then bring it to the table, and with your staff, with your team, you can then do what? You can strategize. What works for you, you take. What doesn't work for you, you put away. What you think you can tweak, you tweak. But you need to do that from time to time. And so as an educator and as an administrator, you must look at all of the opportunities that are before you in managing your school. So I'm talking about developing excellence in schools. You want to develop excellence in your school. What are the things that you need to do? Something very interesting happened. We were looking at, from time to time, we're looking at what do we want to do? How can we benchmark what we are doing? Okay, we've looked at Lagos State, we've looked at schools around. Let's even go outside Nigeria. Let's look at educational organizations that look into schools and see what the schools are doing and give some form of accreditation. And so we sought accreditation from a body, and they came to our schools, and it was very interesting for us. When we were told, we were told to look at our mission statement. When they were looking at our governance, And it was very interesting, when we found that in our statement we talked about teaching and learning, and they told us that that was wrong. And we were like, tell us something, how? And they said, as a school, our focus is first on what? Learning before teaching. And they made us understand how important it was that your mission is the totality of what you stand to deliver as a school. Your mission statement is the totality, is what wraps up the things that you do, is the ethos that guides you, that determines, your everyday activities in the school. As when your focus is first of all on teaching, it means your focus is what? Is on the teacher. It means your focus is first of all on what? On the teacher standing to deliver. And so we have to look at that statement. When you say to deliver, and I'm telling you a real life experience, something you went through. When you say to deliver, you want to deliver something to you. What's that process? Can you think about it? I'm holding something, whatever it is, and I want to deliver to you. Where is the importance in that transaction? I'm holding it, right? I'm the educator. I'm holding it. You're my student. I'm delivering. And so I'm doing what? I package it and I do what? Do you have any input in it? No. Do you have any say in it? So I've wrapped it, I've packaged it, I've given it to you. Whether you know it or not, whether you can carry it or you can't carry it, does that come into play? So we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to rethink what it is we are doing as a school. And so the focus of the school is what? On learning. Not on teaching. Not to the exclusion of teaching, but that the focus is on learning. If your focus is on learning, who's your primary target? The learner. Isn't that? The learner. And so that is very important, that as educators, you must cultivate a culture of learning. You must cultivate an environment where everybody is a learner. Teachers are learners. Your students are learners. You know what they say, that when you stop reading, what happens? That's when you die. So it doesn't mean that because you're a teacher, you know it all. It doesn't mean because you're a teacher or an administrator, you have reached the peak and there's no way to go again. So cultivate a culture of learning. It's also important that as an administrator, the organizational climate and the culture of the school must be well developed. And in all of these things I'm saying, the bedrock of everything I'm saying here is on the policies that you develop as a school. For all of these things that we are talking about, you must have policies that guide. Written policies. Written. If you ask anybody in your school, why do we do what we do the way we do it? There must be a policy document that spells it out. If it is not there, then it's left what the culture of the school and the practices of the school is left to what? It's left to interpretation by anybody. It's an uncommon thing. This one will come and interpret it the way they like. New staff will come and you will say, this is how we do here. Meanwhile, you have watered it down. I've never been involved in an exercise, in a listening exercise, where you put maybe 4 people out of the room and I tell you something, and you bring in the next person, you pass it to the person, another person comes in, that person passes the information. By the time the last person comes in, what happens to the information? Totally distorted. Totally and completely distorted from the original meaning. That's what happens when you don't have a policy statement guiding everything you do in the school. Because somebody will come in and somebody will say, this is how we do things here, okay, and the person automatically starts doing it. And then it goes on that way, and as the owner of the school, you keep fighting or you keep putting out fires. As an administrator, your job is not to be putting out fires. Your time must be so well managed constructively. It's not to be putting out fires, to be settling disputes, to be no. Your time is a futuristic time. Your time must be spent creatively, critical thinking, planning, visioning, training and grooming people, establishing a climate in your school. Those are one of the roles, or some of the roles as an administrator. So, organizational climate, organizational issues, organizational change. When you want to bring in change, how do you do it? Do you just call your staff? From now on, this is what we are going to be doing. What do you think will happen? You just call your staff. From now on, we are changing the curriculum. We are not doing this again, we are doing that. Or we want to introduce new books. We are not using made in Nigeria books again. We are introducing new books. Or we are, whenever you want to introduce change, you need to test the waters. And you need to have a culture of, inclusion. At least let people feel they have a say in what is going on in the school. It doesn't mean that you sit down and wait for everybody to say I agree or I don't agree. But you must test the waters. Because people resist change. People resist change. And the reason why you are bringing in a change is not because you just want it. You want things to work. So you are the one to spearhead, to lead, and to make it happen. Whatever it is you want to bring in organizational change. Test the waters. Have your inner team. Talk about it. Set a pilot scheme. Give a time frame to even let's put it into practice. Let's do this. When you do that, you are doing it in a non-threatening way. You begin to do it first, a little at a time. I'm going to be talking later about the 80-20 Pareto principle. That in an organization, 80% of your success or 80% of your achievement does not come from everybody. It comes from about 20% of your staff or 20% of effort. So what is that 20%? You've got to identify it. You've got to know it. They are your inner focus, they are your core. So you start from there and you work outwards. You play to strength. Isn't that? So that is part of what you need to do, bringing in organizational change and then coping with organizational stress. You've got to identify what the stressors are. We are in an era now where it's all work and no play. And what do they say about all work and no play? It's not only Jack, there's no Jack here, there are some Jills here as well. Makes Jill also a dull girl. Makes the doctor richer. Because what you now do is start going to hospital every time. So work-life balance is part of it. You've got to need it. You've got to ensure it. It's very important that you give your staff work-life balance. Some of you think expecting people to work until they drop dead. When you work to a certain limit, I've talked about the 80-20 rule. There is a limit to which you work most productively. When you get to that limit, every other thing is what? I'm going to be talking later about something I read about somewhere. It's called hallucinating urgency. I'll be talking about that much later. So it's very important to have that. You've also got to have management skills. As an administrator, it's very important that you learn how to manage. How do you do educational management? How do you manage your staff? How do you manage your students? How do you manage your resources? How do you manage your budget? A lot of us are running on very tight budget, but must you compromise on quality because of budget? I tell my staff that I don't look at the budget. Because whatever I do, I tell them that I expect my mantra is more for less. The lower the budget, the more our productivity. The lower our budget, the more we look at quality. Because it's never an excuse as an educator to compromise on quality. You can't say, there is always a better way of doing something. And it doesn't have to do with more money. Hello? There is always a better way of doing something. But it doesn't always have to do with more money. And that's why it's very important as administrators that you spend quality time. Spend quality time reading. Spend quality time networking. Spend quality time planning. Spend quality time strategizing. It's very, very important. You must also have problem solving and decision making skills. Some decisions can't wait for you to go to, have your weekend, go to your one day and come back. Some decisions need to be taken on the beat, on the run. And not all the decisions are nice. Some decisions are very, very painful, but you must make them. As an administrator, it's not a time for fanfare. It's not a time for making friends. It's always about what? Issues. It's It's always about what? Issues. It's not about the persons. It's always about issues. And so you've got to make yourself stand above, those things that will pull you down. You've got to stand above issues of, petty issues. You've got to have your own values. People have got to know your values, what you represent, what you stand for. And you must stand by them. So you've got to have problem-solving, decision-making skills. You've got to learn to coordinate, delegate. As I said, you can't do everything by yourself. You've got to learn to delegate. You've got to learn to motivate your people. You've got to learn the right language to use. You've got to learn to talk to people as human beings. You've got to learn to talk to people and not talk down at people. You've got to have fantastic communication skills. And you've got to have great negotiation skills. Someone came to I had a meeting on Monday with someone in my office, and he had made a proposal to do something for us. And I asked why he didn't do it. He said when he brought it, they told him what he wanted you, and so he didn't do it. And so they settled for something less. And I said, oh, do you go? We go. I told him next time I want these things. We will do it. We will negotiate. It will be a win-win. I won't cheat you. But we will negotiate. I will not pay you this much, and we will do it for us. So this year, this same program is coming up again. You are going to do it for us. And I'm not going to pay you this price. So you've got to learn the right button to press. You've got to have fantastic negotiation skills. You've got to know where to give in. You've got to know, what you can use to trade in for some of the things that you really want. These are skills that as administrators you need to have. So some of the challenges that we face as administrators now, apart from financing, financing will always be there. I doubt if anybody will ever have enough money to say, we have money now, let us sit down. Inflation rate keeps going up. What is the inflation rate now? Mr. Balade, what is the inflation rate now? 12%? 12%. That is not coming down. It's not as if last year it was 15% and now it has gone to 12%. So we're talking of inflation rates, we're talking of exchange rates that keep going up, and these are things that affect our finances. So we will always be in that country, and we will always rise above it. But some of the administration challenges that we have, how many of you are dealing with staff quality? Quality of teachers. Staff quality, big problem, isn't it? Ensuring an effective staff that buy into your vision, staff that will be like Aaron to who? To Moses, holding up the hand. There was a time I had to do something when I was still a school head. My head was busting with ideas. I want to do this, I want to do that. Man, I just came to school. I sat all night, developed a fantastic PowerPoint, and called my staff to meeting. This is my plan. This is my projection. I have this vision. I want to do this. I want to do that. I know that as I was sitting down there, some with their minds were already made. So I said, all I want, after this meeting, I need what I call vision helpers. People who buy into this plan. People who take ownership. People who believe in quality. People who also stand on the fact that tomorrow, when they leave the class, they also have aspirations and they want to begin to develop themselves for future aspirations. And these people will work with you. And if people love that, I think many things are open things. I just come and sit in my office and we'll talk about it. I made a bag, vision helper, and these were the people that were my work, were my area. Of course, it wasn't easy. Just start, high service, I don't know that. But they didn't detail some of them because it was coming from this market and it was coming out of the need also and aspiration that they also have. So you also got to be sure. You've got to build your proper staff because they make or break the school. If a teacher is saying thing every time and you are increasing school fees every term, every year, I will move my child to another school. Isn't that so? If a teacher just cannot rise above the times and deliver the quality that you have set for the school, the standard you have set, it will draw you back. So those are one of the challenges. So it is your responsibility to build up your staff, do training for your staff, encourage CPD, let them even take ownership of their development. A lot of people think it's the responsibility of their schools to train them. And no, I've got news for you. The school pay for your graduates, whatever. The school didn't pay for your degree. What the school can do, the school will do. I tell you that. But then we've got to awaken that thirst in everybody to grow, to aspire to develop. That's one of the challenges you have as an administrator. You've got to learn to get administrative matters right. It's important. I mean, the DG quality assurance was here, and we know that they go around schools and they're looking at issues of quality control. It's got to start from within. What are the quality control measures that you have set in your school? Is your school a safe place? And when we're talking about safety, we're not just talking about kidnapping. We're talking of things like wires, exposed wires. We're talking about doors that don't close, sharp objects sticking out of somewhere. Very small things like that matter. You've got to get administrative matters right. Are your documents in place? At admission, do you have all the details that you want about a child, such that you have your data bank? How is it? Or you are looking for a document and you are opening file and going, looking all over the place. What administrative functions have you put in place, or processes have you put in place? Of course, you've got to have efficient financial management. He's talked about fees. It's very important. A lot of schools run on fees. It's very difficult to get loans, and even where you can avoid it, it's best not to even go for loans. Then you can get good bank loans, you have good bank relationship with your banks. Why not? But the bulk of your expenses come from your fees. So you've got to ensure that you generate your fees, and you've got to look for creative ways. Because parents don't want to part with anything once they're paid fees. They don't want to part with any other thing. So you've got to look for creative ways of making more money. You've got to manage your instructional program well. Is it relevant to the times? Is it relevant to the times? What are you teaching? I remember when we were looking at some textbooks and we were seeing things like pit, toilet, and latrine in some textbooks, and I was like, no. What are we saying? I mean, some of these students don't even know what pit, toilet, and latrine is, and you're seeing it in textbook. But if you want to teach history, let's go back history. But it's not going to be something that we're using to teach, current history. So manage your instructional programs, successfully involve every stakeholder, and parents are stakeholders. Everybody is a stakeholder. Your board members are stakeholders. Your parents are your stakeholders. Your teachers are stakeholders. Your students are stakeholders. You've got to involve every stakeholder. Don't think that they do not matter. They matter. If parents they pick at you and they take their children out of the school, you don't know the damage that will do to your school. So it's very important that you carry everybody along. I can't overemphasize child protection. I'm very particular about child protection. I'm very particular about mental health and well-being now. Because of what is happening around us, we are having huge cases of 9-year-old children, 10-year-old, 12-year-old children committing suicide, planning to kill another person because of this competitiveness of our teaching our children. I'm being mindful of this. I don't know what the Women Academy class is doing. I would have expected many of us to attend the class because she talks about issues that are current. And these are things that we also need to be mindful of, because when you show your parents, you show your stakeholders that you are current with issues and you are prepared for it. You educate yourself, you make your school a better school to understand and to plan actively, proactively. Then it's taking you ahead of the path. So child protection is something that I can never overemphasize. And of course, I've talked about mental health and work-life balance. As a school administrator, you've got to learn to own the good and the bad. Don't be the administrator that when things are going wrong, do not look for somebody to blame. It's your fault. As a school administrator, the buck stops at your table. Whether you like it or not, the buck stops at your table. So, own the good and own the bad. Confront issues when they come up. Deal with them as you should deal with them. Be hard when you need to be hard, and when you need to be soft, be soft. Balance difficult decisions with firmness. Balance difficult decisions with firmness. I'm sorry, but I got news for you. This is what is happening, and so I'm forced to take a decision that this is, and I hope you understand that this is how we got to do this. Not harsh, not abusive. Please don't abuse your staff. Don't abuse your staff. Don't encourage eye service. Don't let people grow well. Hey, Joma, every time. You know, I dislike such things. You want to do your when you see you must kneel down or you must do man. No. They say, are you Lajulawa? Pardon me if you are not Yoruba. Now we have moved beyond such times. So if you're an administrator that carries yourself as if when you are doing everybody wants EBR, you've got to check yourself. There's a problem with that. You have to check yourself. You've got to check yourself. Take thinking time. I spoke earlier about hallucinated urgency. I read something from Eugenia Kwan, CEO of Whitespace. She said busyness is stealing our creative thinking and processing time, which she also referred to as our white space. As administrators, you need a lot of white space. White space is time that you create. Take everything off your table. Take everything off your, your mind. You just want to, a blank slate, you just want to think. You want to process. You want to be able to plan. You want to be able to see things objectively. So don't let busyness take your time. She called it hallucinated urgency. You know it is you just want to be seeing something. At the end of the day, what is your outcome? At the end of the day, what have you achieved? At the end of the day, what did you gain? Hallucinated urgency, and many of us believe in that when they see you doing like this, they say you are working. You know, you are working, you are going around, not anymore. Those are productive processes. Those are productive mannerisms. She called it hallucinated urgency. Take thinking time. Learn to plan your time. A few things, and it's always very difficult. Sometimes you have so many things on your neck. I told you about the 80-20 Pareto principle. Look for your 20%, your strength. Put it to use. Classify. You can use what they call the ABCDE principle. Classify things into A, B, C, D, E. A, the very important things. B, the less important things. C, things that are of no consequence. You do it, you don't do it, or nothing will happen. Why do you expend energy on it? Push it to the back. D, the things that you can delegate. If you know that if I delegate this task to my sister, I will get a 70% achievement. I know if I do it, I will get 100. If I don't have the time, she'll give me 70%. I give it to her to do it. When she comes, we can deal with the gap. And it's only going to help her to grow. Because by the time she comes and I say, okay, well done, this is great, but just do this, do that. She goes and does it. By the third time I'm giving her that task, what is she going to come back to? 100. So delegate. Here are the things you need to do away with. Throw them away. You don't need them. It doesn't matter. Just throw them away. So when you put things into such compartment, you get to do things in order of priority, in order of importance. And I've talked about delegating. I can't talk about it enough. And then remember, it's always about the student. It's always about the children. It's not about you. It's not about you. Being an administrator is not about a fan club. It's not a fan club. You admirers, people that like you, they think you are great. They think you are. When people start running around you, stop it. Because it's not about you. If God has given you the grace to be a fantastic administrator, walk in that strength, play to power, play to truth, play to strength. But then it's not because you want to create a fan club around yourself. It's always about the student. And if there's anything in your daily process, if there's anything in the teachers that you see, if there's anything in your process as a school that does not address the needs of the child, then you're going to go back to the drawing board. Always remember, it's about the child. When we build schools with healthy children, strong children, well-educated children, children that have been equipped and have the confidence to take ownership of the world and of their learning, then we are contributing to the larger society. So it's never about you. It's always about the child. So never let go of things that build up the children in your school. And then Don't be an administrator that is a couch potato. Every time you're in your office, you sit down there. You want to wear shoe, you will call messenger to come and buckle your shoe. You want to drink tea, you will call somebody to come and carry something from the fridge behind you. You must always have somebody following around you because you are what? Madam. You like to take a walk around. Visit the schools, visit the classroom, go into everywhere. Know the name of all your children. I know it's hard, schools have huge numbers, but I've been in a situation where I've had over 500 students and I'm telling you I know all their names. I will go around and I'll be able to call children by name and they wonder. Or I see a parent and I say, I told this one, you know my son? And I say, yes, I know one, it's not because he was not. You know, it endears you to people. Go around, they call it management by what? Management by walking around. Some people say wandering around. I don't think it's wandering. It's a purposeful walking. Purposeful walking. Management by walking around. Plan a time in your day and don't make it such that they know that every time o'clock madam is going to come here. No. You don't want to be too obvious, you don't want to be too predictable. But have a schedule. Make sure you go around regularly. Talk to the children, let them know that they can see you and say, you know that this happened, you know that my teacher did this, you know that my mommy said, you know that my, because you need to fill the pulse. You need to fill the pulse. So learn to visit the school, walk around your school, don't sit down and just be there. Use time-saving techniques. I've talked to you about the 80-20 Pareto principle. I've talked about ABCD. There's also what they call the 4 Ds. Delegate, delete, defer, and do. Delegate, delete, defer, and do. So when you use all of these time-saving techniques, you get better task management, higher productivity, no stress level, better work-life balance. Consequences are that you have missed deadlines, poor work quality, higher stress level, work imbalance, and then burnout. And if you listen to Dr. Memuna today, she said the World Health Organization has listed burnout as one of the diseases in the world. Burnout. Because when you have burnout, it affects so many things. It could be some internal organs and you don't know, it could be your heart, it could be your liver, it could be whatever, you know. So for the World Health Organization to list it as one of the critical ailments or sicknesses now, that means it's critical and you've got to do something about it. You've got to be mindful about it. So avoid burnout. Avoid burnout in yourself as an administrator and avoid burnout in your staff. So what are the characteristics of an effective school? A clear and a shared focus. I've talked about you articulating your vision. It's not about sailing. It's not to be all over the place. I remember a story about, I think it was, I'm not sure if it's Access Bank one, the MD walked into one branch and he just stopped one staff. I think he noticed something in the way the staff was dressed. I said, can you tell me what our mission statement is? And the staff said, I was mumbling. Just told the guy, CHR. And you know what that meant? The guy was paid off that day. Your vision underpins everything that you do. Everything. In my school, our vision statement has a phrase that says, we provide. And we had to change that from we deliver, because before it was deliver. And so we looked at it, deliver. We had series of seminars, training, and all of these, even board meetings, to change our mission statement from we deliver to what? We provide. When you make a provision for something, it means it's there, it's open for anybody to what? To tap into. It's different from to deliver. So we provide world-class education. And so if I look at your dressing, the way you speak, the way you teach, the way you write, the way you do things, and it's not world-class standard. Are you working to our mission? Are you working to the mission? No. So your mission is important. Don't ever underwrite it as unimportant. And so in every classroom, in every corner of the school, we have a mission and a vision statement. Because you are accountable for everything in line with that mission statement. And as administrators, it is your responsibility to hold everybody accountable to this shared vision. High standards and expectations for all students, effective school leadership, high level of collaboration and communication. It's not every man to himself, God for us all. You've got to learn to work collaboratively. You've got to learn, you heard what the Finnish guy said, that increasingly as teachers, our role is shifting from teaching to what? Facilitating. To facilitating. So you cannot facilitate where there's no collaboration. So you've got to have a collaborative environment. Curriculum, instruction, and assessments must be aligned with defined standards. What's your standard? What's your benchmark? If you do not have something you are working to, a standard, just as you tell us, I have a role model, he's a role model, you want children to have a role model. What's your standard as a school? What's your standard as an administrator? Are you working to set standards? You need to ask yourself those questions. Frequent monitoring of learning and teaching, focused professional development for you and your staff, a very supportive learning environment. Very supportive. We heard the keynote speaker that when children do things these days, you don't beat them. You want to know why. Tell me why you did this. Now, what do you think you achieved as a result of that? Because children must learn. Rewards and consequences, they must learn. They must learn. And it's our responsibility to teach it. So, supportive learning environment, high level of family and community involvement. Very slightly. These days, you find out that for you to teach children effectively, so that what you teach them in the school does not come undone, you need to educate parents as well. How many of them do that? You need to start having parenting seminars, because you are teaching children one thing, they go home and their parents are showing other things. I was at a function someday and somebody said, hey, High Court Judge, in this Lagos, pay somebody to write my head for a child. How can? What's that person teaching that child? What can the teacher tell that child to correct what has been done from home? So you need to involve your parents. Your parents need to know the values that you have as a school, the values that you espouse, the values that you expect as a school. It's my conclusion that effective school leadership is essential to improve the efficiency and equity of schooling. When it is properly focused, it has a positive impact on student achievement. When it is productively distributed, it is a principal factor in school improvement. Thank you very much.